The stories behind the stories with Mark Arnold, exclusively on the Geek Speak Show.
And this is historian Mark Arnold with another installment of the Stories Behind the Stories, and today we're interviewing Walter Brogan. And Walter is a skilled cartoonist and illustrator who has done storyboarding and is also gifted in the art of caricature. And these skills have come in handy as he has worked for many black and white humor magazines, such as Marvel's Crazy Magazine and the longtime publication of Cracked, which is now a website. And Walter has worked for Disney, among other companies. So welcome to the show, Walter, and tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into cartooning and illustrating.
Okay, so how you doing, Mark?
Pretty good.
we've never met. We've spoken a few times.
Right.
I got into it as very young. I started drawing at the age of 3 years old. I started drawing King Kong and Popeye. And I always kept at it, and even in school, I was always doing these special projects. And I went to SVA, School of Visual Arts. I studied at the Art Students League. I started working in my third year of college. That's when I got that gig over at Marvel, a crazy magazine. And I also started going up to see Neil Adams, the great Neil Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, ask him if he would be kind enough to critique my work, tell me what I was doing wrong, what I had to do to get better. And Neil is a really nice guy. He took time out late at night around 7, 8 o'clock in his studio, Continuity Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was at 45th Street, I believe, at that time.
And what projects did you work with Neil on, typically?
Well, later on, let me say, he would critique my work, and he would show me what I was doing wrong, what I had to do. Like, in other words, the bones were pretty much everything in learning anatomy.
Oh, I see. So he was like mentoring you. He was helping you out.
Yes.
Hone your skills, as it were. Okay.
Yes, and later on, I started doing some storyboard work with Neil.
Mm-hmm.
When after school, I was also working at Crazy Magazine, but I started working as an assistant art director at an ad agency that was in the Pan Am building at that time. The ad agency's name was Foot, Cone, and Belding. And I started, doing paste-ups and stuff like that, and doing coupon ads, but mostly doing storyboards. And then I moved on to Benton and Bowles, where I was an art director. And I got to tell you, I always wind up doing other guys' storyboards for some strange reason. And I think they saved a lot of money on me doing storyboards, because I was on salary and I was an art director. And they would come into my office and say, "Well, can you do this? Do this." And little did I know, back in those days, like around 1979, 1980. A lot of these storyboard guys were making an enormous amount of money. I mean, some of these guys were bringing in like $250,000 a year. And here I was on salary. I was making only $40,000, and I was doing a whole bunch of storyboards. And I brought that to Neil's attention, and he kind of set it straight for me. He said, "Oh boy." And then I applied for Disney at that time had a training program, and you had to send in some sketches, quick sketches of animals and figure drawings and things like that. And I sent some in. I got refused the first time, and I sent some more in about 6 months later, and I got accepted by a guy named, the first guy, his name was Donald Duckwall. That was the first time where I got refused, and the second time there was a man named Ed Hansen who had sent me a letter back saying, when can you come out on a certain date, let us know. And they put me in a training program, and that's when I realized animation kind of wasn't for me, and so I hung around California for a couple of years, working in different studios. I did a little work on Fire and Ice, did some work at Hanna-Barbera. And then I came back and I did some storyboard work on a TV show called The Galaxy Rangers. And at that time, I think it was Paul Lakin who called me up. He said he was working at Crack Magazine as an editor and a writer. And then I started working at Crack Magazine around 1985. And 86, I started working as a storyboard guy at J. Walter Thompson.
Now, we've talked before, of course, because I interviewed you before the Crack book. Wasn't it true that there's a time that you were like working both, doing tons of work for Cracked and storyboarding at the same time that, is like kind of overwhelming amount of work? I
was getting like 4 hours sleep from 1986 until the end of Crack, which was around 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last job I did for Crack was with my writing partner, Lou Silverstone. I think it was around 2001. But yeah, for all those years, I got by on 4 hours sleep.
Wow. Because I think I remember you said it was like, I couldn't do it now. It's something I was able to do then.
No. I don't think I. Well, I don't. I don't think I can. But if the opportunity arises,
I was going to say if you had
maybe
the
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, the crack work was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and there were a bunch of great guys to work with. Andy Simmons, Barry Rosenblum, who was the publisher, who was still pretty good personal good friends, and of course Lou. Me and Lou were very close.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Silverstone. We still talk once in a while on the phone. And I think that was, I think Crack around that time, around 92, 93, if I'm not mistaken, I think Lou had told me that we were equal or we had surpassed Mad Magazine.
Well, I know it did pretty well during the 90s. I don't know if I ever officially surpassed it, but it did sell a lot better at that point because it was like an equivalent. It had quality art and quality writing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, Lou told me that he, well, not him personally, but they had a spy that was working at Mad too, and he would come back and tell Lou and Andy. I think it was Andy too. But Lou was telling me this, that they were kind of going, they were pouring over Crack Magazine, and they were going nuts. They were saying, gee, look, what's up?
Yeah.
We kind of took them off their high horse for a while.
Definitely heard that, from different sources. So, yes, that's true. So, at the current time, since unfortunately, although Cracked is now a website and Crazy's long gone, I don't know if Marvel would ever revive it. And of course, they're still Mad. But I mean, any interest in doing future?
Mad comes out 4 times a year now.
They actually upped it back to 6, but yeah, it's not as much as they used to. So they're back to a bi-monthly schedule. But
I don't even recognize a magazine.
Yeah. But, the reason why they upped it is they started this cable network animated show, which has done pretty well. But I'm just wondering if there's a desire to get back into that, if there's the opportunity, or do you like what do you do currently? You just do the storyboarding, or is there something else?
Just the storyboards.
Mm-hmm.
Just the storyboards, and just recently I've been looking into doing some children's books.
And
and some greeting cards, things of that sort,
Mm-hmm. Now, storyboarding, is this for like specific movies, or what are the?
No, mostly if not all for TV commercials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of reps.
Mm-hmm. Do you work through a particular ad agency, or is it just any agency that will?
Well, no, they're reps.
Okay.
And they get me work. They take 25%. They promote me, advertise me, and one is Famous Frames out in L.A. and one is Burrito Boards. And recently I hooked on to High Road Productions.
Mm-hmm.
I did some work with them about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very good. I was just, I know you have a website, so, can you let us know the best way to reach you and, best way to contact you?
Yeah, my website is walterbrogan.com.
Okay. And I just wanted to thank you, Walter, for joining us today on the Geek Speak Show on the stories behind the stories. And as always, if you want to comment on this show, you can email me at mark@thegeekspeakshow.com.
You can hear the complete story behind the stories by going to funideas.50webs.com. That's 50webs.com. funideas.50webs.com. The stories behind the stories, exclusively on the Geek Speak Show.